Welcome back to the channel everyone, and if you're new here, make sure to hit that like button, subscribe, and turn on notifications because today's video is extremely important for millions of South Africans. We're diving into the major changes coming to SASSA payments in May 2025, and trust me when I say this, what's happening right now could impact how you or someone you know receives their financial support this month and moving forward. Whether you're receiving the older person's grant, the disability grant, the child support grant, or the SRD R370 payment, this news is for you. These changes are not only timely, they're necessary, controversial, and for some, potentially life-changing. So let's unpack what you need to know and what it means for you. As of the start of May 2025, SASSA has begun rolling out new administrative systems to handle payments, verification processes, and fraud prevention methods. The agency has been under intense pressure from government watchdogs, social justice organizations, and even international observers due to the persistent challenges faced by beneficiaries, everything from payment delays to outright rejections without explanation. In response to this growing criticism and operational stress, the Department of Social Development has approved a comprehensive set of reforms, some of which are now being implemented. These reforms affect how grants are processed, the timelines involved, how appeals are managed, and even how communication is handled with beneficiaries. It's a sweeping overhaul, and SASSA officials say the aim is to make the system faster, fairer, and more transparent. First, let's talk about payment dates. One of the major updates in May 2025 is a restructured calendar for grant payments. For years, confusion around payment dates has plagued the system, especially when dates fall on public holidays or weekends. Now, SASSA has announced that beginning this month, payments will be staggered based on grant type but guaranteed to fall within a consistent and predictable window. Older persons' grants will now be paid on the second working day of each month. Disability grants will follow on the third working day. Child support grants and all other social grants will be paid out from the fourth working day onward. For example, this month in May, that means older persons' grants were paid on May 2nd, disability grants on May 5th, and child support grants on May 6th. This new pattern will remain in place going forward unless a public holiday interferes, in which case an alternative day will be announced at least 2 weeks in advance. Another crucial change rolling out this month is the new biometric verification process. As part of a broader strategy to combat fraud, SASSA is now requiring biometric re-registration for all grant recipients, starting with those receiving the SRD R370 payment. This means beneficiaries will need to either visit their local SASSA office or designated biometric station, sometimes located at post offices or mobile outreach units, to reconfirm their identity using facial recognition, fingerprints, or iris scans. For many, this might sound like a technical hassle, but SASSA says it's a necessary step to prevent identity theft, duplicate payments, and fraudulent claims that have cost the government millions over the years. If your biometrics do not match existing records, your grant could be temporarily suspended while your identity is verified. Of course, this change has not come without controversy. Civil rights advocates have warned that the biometric system could disproportionately impact the elderly, people living in rural areas, and those with disabilities who may not be able to easily access biometric centers. In response, SASSA has announced that it will deploy over 200 mobile biometric registration vans in provinces with the highest vulnerability scores, including Limpopo, Eastern Cape, and parts of KwaZulu-Natal. These mobile units will be equipped with solar power, satellite internet, and trained staff to ensure that no one is left out due to infrastructure gaps. Still, critics argue that until the system proves it can handle large volumes without errors, caution is necessary. Another significant change involves the SRD R370 grant, formerly the R350 grant, which was increased earlier this year as part of government's commitment to providing more meaningful support in a tough economy. SASSA has now tightened eligibility criteria to focus more sharply on need and vulnerability. While previously, a wide array of unemployed citizens could apply, the updated system includes more rigorous means testing. Applicants must now prove they do not receive any other form of income, including e-wallet payments over a 624, bank transfers, or even third-party cash deposits. This means if someone sends you a 700 via Capitec or FNB to help you buy groceries, that could potentially disqualify you from receiving the SRD R370 grant unless you can prove it was a one-off and not regular support. It's a contentious change, but SASSA claims it is vital for maintaining the integrity of the system. What's also new this May is the introduction of a centralized digital portal where all grant recipients can log in, track their application or payment status, file appeals, and update personal details. This portal is intended to drastically cut down on call center delays and in-person queues at SASSA branches. It has already seen over 300,000 users in just the first week of May, according to the Department of Social Development. The portal is mobile-friendly and even allows users to upload scanned copies of required documents like IDs, bank statements, or affidavits. But as with any new tech rollout, there have been growing pains. Some users report login issues, data mismatches, and slow load times. SASSA has acknowledged these issues and says engineers are working around the clock to stabilize the platform. We also need to talk about bank accounts. One of the most confusing parts of the SASSA payment system for many beneficiaries has always been how and when money reflects in different banks. To resolve this, SASSA has signed new agreements with major financial institutions to standardize payment times. Previously, depending on whether you used Postbank, Capitec, or Nedbank, your funds might arrive hours or even days apart. Starting this month, all banks will be required to process SASSA payments within 4 hours of receiving the transfer notice, and SASSA will now publish a daily payment confirmation bulletin online and via SMS alerts. This should go a long way toward reducing uncertainty, especially for those counting on that money to buy essential items like food and medicine. A lesser-known but equally impactful change coming in May is related to the appeals process. Historically, if your application for a grant was denied, you could wait weeks, sometimes even months, for a response. That's now changing. SASSA has implemented a 10-day appeal response deadline for all new cases submitted from May 1st onward. What this means is, if you believe your application was unfairly rejected or if you've since submitted new information, SASSA must respond within 10 business days, either approving your appeal or giving a clear reason for its denial. This is a huge win for accountability and transparency and was one of the top recommendations made by the Office of the Public Protector in a report last year. There's also a new fraud reporting mechanism going live this month. SASSA is launching an anonymous tip-off line and WhatsApp bot where you can report suspicious activity, whether it's someone claiming a grant they shouldn't be eligible for, an official demanding bribes, or ghost accounts siphoning funds. Whistleblowers are being promised confidentiality and in some cases, financial rewards for information that leads to criminal prosecution. This marks a more aggressive stance by the agency in tackling the corruption and mismanagement that has haunted its reputation for years. Let's now touch on something many viewers have been asking about: payment increases. While there is no across-the-board increase for all grant categories this May, Finance Minister Enoch Godongwana has confirmed that another review is underway, with potential increases expected in the mid-year mini-budget around July. However, there is a small, targeted increase for foster child grants and war veteran grants this month. Foster child grants will rise from R1,130 to R1,160, and war veteran grants will go from R2,100 to R2,180. These increases were quietly implemented to address cost of living pressures faced by specific vulnerable groups. In addition, SASSA has also introduced a new pilot project in May called the Grant Plus Initiative. Under this initiative, selected beneficiaries in Gauteng and Western Cape will receive a digital voucher alongside their regular grant. This voucher can be used at participating grocery stores and pharmacies to purchase essentials at discounted rates. The goal is to see whether combining cash grants with structured support services can lead to better outcomes for recipients. Early data from internal testing shows that beneficiaries in the pilot regions were able to stretch their monthly support by as much as 12%, thanks to exclusive pricing agreements with retail partners. And we can't forget about accessibility. Another change rolling out in May is that all major SASSA notices, including payment alerts and eligibility updates, will now be issued in all 11 official languages, and the agency will begin piloting voice message updates for the visually impaired. This was a major complaint raised during the 2024 SASSA town halls, and the agency has now acted on that feedback. The new multilingual communications policy is already being praised by advocacy groups for making the system more inclusive and responsive to South Africa's diverse population. One more thing that is bound to shake things up: SASSA has begun an internal review of grant duplications and unexplained long-term beneficiaries who haven't been re-evaluated in years. This internal audit, starting in May, means that some long-time recipients may receive letters or SMS messages requesting updated documentation, proof of life, or renewed applications. It's crucial that if you receive one of these notices, you respond within the stated deadline, usually 30 days, or your grant could be suspended. This has sparked some panic on social media, with fears that it's a ploy to remove people from the system, but officials insist it's just a way to ensure only those who truly qualify continue to receive support. So to sum it all up, yes, May 2025 brings some major changes to SASSA payments, and while not all of them are easy, many are long overdue. The goal, according to SASSA and the Department of Social Development, is to build a more reliable, fair, and fraud-proof system that actually delivers support to those who need it most, when they need it. But as always, the success of these reforms will depend on implementation, transparency, and continued public oversight. If you or someone you know receives a SASSA grant, it's absolutely essential that you stay informed, check your SMS alerts, use the new digital portal, and update your details when prompted. Don't ignore those messages. And if you need help, don't hesitate to reach out to your local SASSA office or ward councillor. Remember, knowledge is power, especially when it comes to protecting your right to support. We'll continue to monitor the rollout of all these changes and provide updates throughout the month. If you've already experienced any issues with the new systems or have tips for fellow beneficiaries, please drop your comments below so we can help spread awareness. And as always, if you found this video helpful, hit that like button and subscribe for more updates on SASSA, economic support, and social justice in South Africa. Until next time, stay informed, stay safe, and take care.